Hey guys, GPT Nomad here. So just like to do a quick update about the market as of today, right, 6th of August 2024. So yesterday in the market, we can see that it actually experienced a very sharp drop, right? So you can see there was a gap down in the market here, right? This was during the pre-market, right? So that means if it's in the Singapore context, the market opens at 9:30 p.m. Singapore time, right? And this was from 4 p.m. onwards. Okay, so you can see there was a very sharp drop of the SPY, right? This is the S&P 500 index. So it dropped quite substantially. And what's interesting is, right, if you look at the indicators here, right, the three EMAs, we have the 5 EMA, right, which is more short term, the green one, that has actually crossed below the 20 EMA. Right, so this is a bearish trend, right, over here that we can see, and the candles were actually following nicely around the trend, right? So this EMA became sort of like a resistance line, right? That the candles couldn't break above. So now it was observing very nicely around this trend line, right? So it served as very strong resistance, and this continued until the market opened, right? And interestingly, from this low point of about 507, right, we can see that from the moment the market opened, it was more or less roughly on an upward trend, right? So in fact, if we bought into a put position here, we probably wouldn't earn that much, right? Because SPY was already around 510, right, when it opened, and then it continued to climb up. Right, so this is on a 50-minute candle time frame, and it continued to climb till it was about 520. Right, so if we went from 510 to 520, this was actually quite a big move. Okay, of course it took like 1-2 hours, right? But this was how it was. So you can see that the trend continuation may not be so smooth, right? It may not continue like this even when the market opens, despite the sharp drop, right? And again here we see the crossover. So the 5 EMA has now crossed above the 20 EMA, right? So sort of like a bullish trend, and these candles will continuing to go up, right? Until later on, right, the candles were supported by the 20 EMA until it pushed down. That's also when the EMA, 5 EMA crossed below again, right? So we can see that these shorter term candles, right, 20 EMAs, they sort of serve like a very quick signal, right? Where you are looking at the change in the direction of the candles. Okay, and this would indicate a reversal, right? Although it didn't drop all the way down to 510, right? It hovered around 520 and so on, and then eventually closed about 518, right? This was the case for SPY yesterday, right? And if you look at some of the other popular stocks, right, such as Nvidia, you can observe a very similar trend, right? So we see that mostly the stocks here have quite a strong correlation, right? So from this sharp drop, same thing in the market, and then it started to go all the way down. So it has been some time since Nvidia reached this level of about 90, right? Because previously it went up quite high. So if you look at, say, the 4-hour time frame, right, we can see that from the 4-hour time frame, the highest was about 120, 130 recently, right? As recent as just about 1 month ago. But now it's come down to a low of about 90 plus. Okay, so this was actually quite a big drop, right? Yesterday. Okay, so coming back to this, right, we can see that again, when the market opened, right, it actually rebounded quite sharply from 91 all the way to about 103, right? So there's almost like a 10% increase, right? More than that, from 90 to about 10 something. So if we had actually taken this call contract, right, into the long position, we might have profited quite well, right, from this. And again, here we can see the crossover of the 20 EMA, and then later on it was trying to cross but didn't, right? So 20 EMA, the yellow one, becomes sort of like a support level now. Okay, so again, this blue line here is the VWAP, right? Another indicator that we commonly use, and you can see it's actually bouncing off this VWAP, right? So it's not it's not actually dropping below. So usually around these key indicators, we try to be careful, right? When the candles are approaching these indicators, we try to be mindful of whether they will reject, which means that it will bounce off, or it will actually pull, it will go through, right? Once it goes through, then there's a tendency for it to actually go down further or go up further. All right. So looking at this, what can we do, right, in such a scenario? Let's say when we are facing such a big dump in the market. So technically, if we are looking at a more long-term approach, right, then this could be the time to actually buy the shares, right? So if we had actually prepared, right, our fundamental analysis, right, looking at a longer term approach, then in terms of fundamental, we would see that there's nothing wrong with Nvidia, right? There's no major issue, and it's still a fundamentally good company, right? Looking at the financials, the business model, and so on. So when it comes down to, let's say, a price of 90, right, or even just around 90, then we may want to buy into some shares, or we can actually buy into some longer term contract. Okay, so bear in mind for this approach, right, because the candles were still on a downtrend generally. So if we pull up the longer term trend, right? Let's say we look at the 4 hours, we can see that it is still largely on a downtrend, right? Although it is some sort of a recovered to 10 something, right? It's still quite a fair distance off the 120. Okay, so it may still dump a bit, right? At this moment. So if we are still risk averse, then we may not want to enter fully, right, all the capital we allocated, but we can enter a certain portion of it, right, just to profit off these discounts, right, of the stock price. Similarly, if you want, you can sell some puts, right, because now that it has come down all the way, puts will become more valuable. So if you sell a put, you are creating the obligation to buy shares, right? To buy 100 shares or even more. So in that case, we must be mentally and also financially prepared, right? That means you have the capital and you are prepared to actually own the shares. Then we can actually sell the put, right? Earn some premium and see if we actually do have to buy, right? Because we may not have to buy the shares, right? If the strike price is actually lower, right? So than this actual stock price on the expiration date. Okay, so these are some ways that we can look at this, right? So it doesn't mean that it's going down, it must be bad, right? So this could be the time to load up on the good shares, whether we sell a put or we buy a call option or you just simply buy some shares right at this moment. For traders, for example, then we have to be a bit more careful, right? Because there has been a sharp drop. So within the first 15 minutes, we want to be a bit careful as to how the direction will change because it may not continue to dump. Right, as we see here, it actually went up quite a bit. So in the first half an hour and so, it actually went up quite substantially. So if we just enter into put in the beginning of the market, then we'd have seen our profits just gone down, right, or losses mounting. So just bear in mind there could be this first 15-minute fake out effect. Okay, so just a very short update about the market from yesterday. So if you guys are interested in more aspects of trading, then feel free to check around our videos on this channel for more trading tips and suggestions. All right, so this is the GPT Nomad checking out. See you guys.